Welcome, viewer, to our terrifying tales from next door, a trio of horror stories. Chilling Tales. Horror Next Door introduces us to an anthology of bone-chilling stories, each set against the deceptively tranquil backdrop of everyday neighborhoods. This series promises to unveil the horrors that lurk just beyond the threshold of our homes, transforming the mundane into the extraordinary and terrifying. In the whispering walls, we're drawn into the unsettling quiet of a neighborhood that has recently welcomed new residents. The once peaceful community is now shrouded in an eerie atmosphere, hinting at the sinister secrets these newcomers harbor, setting the stage for a tale of nocturnal whispers and dark revelations. As the mystery unfolds, the protagonist becomes haunted by whispers seeping through the shared wall with the new neighbors. These late-night murmurs are not just disturbing. They seem to carry the weight of dark secrets waiting to be uncovered, compelling our protagonist to seek out their source. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, the protagonist's investigation leads to a startling discovery: a hidden room concealed within the walls. This secret space is filled with disturbing artifacts and symbols, suggesting that the neighbors are involved in occult practices far beyond ordinary understanding. The whispers that once seemed merely unsettling now escalate into chilling screams, haunting the protagonist's nights and eroding their sense of safety. This auditory torment serves as a sinister soundtrack to the growing horror that the new neighbors have brought into the once serene neighborhood. The protagonist, driven by an insatiable curiosity and the incessant whispers, discovered a hidden room behind the walls of their new neighbor's home. Within this concealed space, an array of disturbing artifacts lay scattered. Ancient symbols, seemingly related to occult practices, adorned the walls, casting an ominous aura over the room. As the whispers evolved into chilling screams, the protagonist's nights became haunted by an unending terror. The sheer intensity of these nocturnal disturbances propelled them into a quest for answers. Each scream seemed to weave tales of sorrow and darkness, hinting at a malevolent presence within the house. A confrontation with the neighbors was inevitable, prompted by the protagonist's discovery and the haunting screams. The neighbors' reaction was one of stark terror and revelation. They shared tales of the house's dark past, speaking of rituals and hauntings that had plagued the residents for generations, casting a shadow over its history. Determined to rid the house of its malevolent energy, the protagonist embarked on a quest that tested the limits of their courage and resolve. Researching ancient rituals and seeking the guidance of experts, they prepared to cleanse the house. It was a struggle against an unseen force, challenging every ounce of their will. The final encounter with the spectral entities was a frightful climax to their efforts. Through a combination of ancient rites and sheer determination, the protagonist faced these entities in a battle of wills. It was an ordeal that pushed them to the brink, but ultimately they emerged victorious, or so it seemed. The house fell into an eerie silence, marking the end of the hauntings. However, the question lingered: had they truly found peace, or was this silence merely the calm before another storm? In a final, heart-stopping encounter, the protagonist faces the spectral entities head-on. Amidst the shadows of the hidden room, the air thick with the stench of ancient rituals, they confront the source of the malevolent energy. The battle is both mental and spiritual, as they use every ounce of their will to banish the entities. The eerie silence that follows is deafening. The protagonist, drained but victorious, senses a fragile peace has been restored. The whispers and screams are gone, leaving behind a heavy stillness. Yet a lingering doubt remains, a whisper in the back of their mind. Is it truly over, or is this just a temporary reprieve? As one tale closes, another begins to unfold with the Garden of Eyes. The once vibrant garden next door, a kaleidoscope of life and color, now withers mysteriously. Each day, the plants droop further, their vitality seeping away into the soil, leaving behind a desolate space. The protagonist's curiosity turns to unease as they notice something truly unnerving: eyes, watching silently among the dying plants. These aren't the curious glances of neighbors or the watchful gaze of animals. These are human eyes, filled with an inexplicable sorrow and fear embedded within the garden itself. The neighbors' odd behavior adds to the growing tension. Observed under the cloak of night, their nocturnal gardening activities appear more ritual than routine. The protagonist's suspicions grow as the garden's secrets begin to slowly unearth themselves, hinting at a darkness that lies beneath. In the once vibrant garden, a sinister transformation begins as the plants wither away, revealing unnerving, watchful eyes amidst the decay. The protagonist's curiosity turns to horror as they observe these eerie eyes, feeling an unsettling surveillance that pierces through the dying foliage, signaling a malevolent presence next door. The neighbor's odd behaviors and nocturnal gardening activities only heighten the protagonist's suspicions. There's something deeply unsettling about the way they tend to the garden under the cloak of darkness, as if nurturing secrets rather than plants. The protagonist can't shake the feeling that these midnight rituals hide a chilling truth. Upon closer investigation, the protagonist discovers a horrifying reality. The garden is a macabre memorial for unsolved disappearances. Each plant, unnaturally vibrant amidst the wilt, represents a missing person, their eyes the last remnants of their existence. This garden of souls unnerves the protagonist, who realizes the ground beneath teems with untold stories. Attempts to expose the neighbor and their grotesque garden are met with chilling threats, casting a shadow of danger over the protagonist. The neighbor, now revealed as a guardian of dark secrets, becomes a menacing figure, determined to protect the garden's grim legacy at any cost, tightening the noose of fear around the neighborhood. In a desperate bid to uproot the garden's secrets and end the cycle of terror, the protagonist formulates a risky plan. However, the garden, protective of its secrets, unleashes a terrifying chase, marking the protagonist as the next victim. This deadly game of cat and mouse culminates in a showdown that reveals the neighbor's monstrous true nature, forever altering the fabric of the neighborhood. In a daring move, the protagonist decides to uproot the garden, determined to uncover its grim secrets. Despite the neighbor's unsettling surveillance, they begin their work under the cover of darkness. The first shovel into the earth is met with an eerie silence, setting a foreboding tone for the night ahead. As the protagonist digs deeper, the once fertile soil now feels like a macabre tapestry woven with the tragedies of the past. Each unearthed plant brings a chilling realization closer to the surface. The garden is far more than it seems. The air grows thick with tension, and the night feels alive with unseen watchers. Suddenly the neighbor appears, their silhouette monstrous against the moonlit night. Their transformation from the mundane to the monstrous is complete, signaling the beginning of a terrifying chase. The protagonist, now the target, runs with a heart pounding in terror, the garden's secrets clawing at their heels. The pursuit is relentless, with the neighbor's monstrous form a constant threat in the shadows. However, amidst the chaos, a plan forms. The protagonist realizes that exposing the garden's horrors might be the key to ending the nightmare. With renewed resolve, they lure the monster into a trap, hoping to reveal its true nature to the world. Just as the chase reaches its climax, a faceless figure is seen watching from the neighbor's window, an unexpected twist that sends a shiver down the spine, suggesting that the garden's curse is but a piece of a larger, more sinister puzzle. The protagonist's fight against the darkness has just begun, leading them into the unknown. In the quiet suburbia, a faceless figure began to appear, haunting the dimly lit windows of the neighbor's house. This eerie presence coincided with a series of unexplained disappearances, casting a shadow of fear over the once peaceful neighborhood. Residents whispered tales of the figure, but none dared to approach the cursed dwelling. The protagonist, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, decided to investigate. Their search led to the unsettling discovery of an ancient curse, one that had plagued the neighborhood for generations. The neighbor, it seemed, was not just a bystander, but a vessel for this malevolent force, chosen to bring despair to all. Encounters with the faceless watcher grew increasingly terrifying. Each sighting brought an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the very soul of the observer was being scrutinized by an unseen force. The air would grow cold, and a paralyzing fear would take hold, making every shadow seem alive with malice. Determined to end the nightmare, the protagonist delved into the history of the curse. They learned it was tied to a tragic event that had occurred in the neighborhood many years ago. Armed with this knowledge, they prepared a ritual to confront and banish the Watcher back to its realm, hoping to sever the curse's hold on their neighbor. The final encounter was a tense battle of wills set against the backdrop of a stormy night. The protagonist, chanting ancient incantations, faced the faceless Watcher in a showdown that would determine the fate of the neighborhood. With the curse finally broken, the Watcher vanished, but the neighbor disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a mystery that would haunt the protagonist forever. The protagonist, armed with knowledge of the ancient curse and a determination to end the nightmare, prepared for the ritual to confront and banish the faceless Watcher back to its realm. As dusk fell, they set up the ritual space, marking the ground with symbols of protection and lighting candles to create a boundary between the worlds. The tension was palpable as the ritual began. Chanting in a language forgotten by time, the protagonist summoned the Watcher. A cold wind whipped through the room, extinguishing the candles one by one. The air thickened, and there, in the dim light, the faceless Watcher appeared, its presence more intimidating than ever. What followed was a battle of wills. The protagonist, channeling every ounce of courage, pushed forward, commanding the Watcher to return to its realm. The entity, defiant at first, began to waver under the force of the ritual. With a final, determined shout, the protagonist sealed the Watcher away, the room instantly lightening. In the aftermath, the neighbor, the unwitting vessel for the curse, disappeared without a trace. The neighborhood whispered about the sudden departure, but no one could explain it. The protagonist, however, knew the truth. They had broken the curse, releasing not only the neighborhood from its grip, but also the neighbor from the Watcher's influence. As normalcy returned, the protagonist reflected on the ordeal. They had faced unimaginable horrors, but in doing so, unearthed a strength they never knew they possessed. The fear of the faceless Watcher lingered, a reminder of the thin veil between the known and the unknown. Yet there was comfort in the silence, a sign that peace had been restored, at least for now. As the chilling tales come to a close, we're left with a haunting reminder of the darkness that can reside in the most familiar places. This journey through horror next door reaches its end, but the echoes of these stories linger, urging us to sleep tight and always keep a watchful eye on our neighbors. This brings us to the end of our trilogy for this evening. We hope you have enjoyed our cautionary tales. If you would like to see more of our horror stories, please like and subscribe to our channel to enjoy more terror tales. For now, sleep well, viewer, and we hope to see you next time.